The FedLife podcast is presented by Serving Those Who Serve, a fiduciary, fee-based financial planning firm serving federal government employees and retirees all over the country. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be taken as financial advice. All listeners should consult their personal advisors before taking any action. The opinions expressed by our hosts are their own and do not reflect the views, policies, or position of Raymond James. Securities are offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. Serving Those Who Serve is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services, Inc. And now, here are your hosts. Dan Sipe serves as a branch manager for Raymond James Financial Services and Serving Those Who Serve. Ed Zerndorfer is our guest and federal benefits expert in the space.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the FedLife podcast. I am your host, Dan Sipe. Additionally, I am also the branch manager here at Serving Those Who Serve and Lee Sipe and Associates. I'm going to begin, as I always do, by saying thank you. Number one, thank you for taking the time to watch or listen. And above all, thank you for your service to the government, to the country, to me, to everyone. You do not hear that enough, but you will always hear it here. The other thing that you always hear with us, or person you always hear with us, is Ed Zerndorfer. Yes, the guru is back with us once again as part of our ongoing mission to reach, teach, and serve you, the career civilian Fed. Once again, if you're a regular, you know we like to follow Ed's Fed Zone articles to give us one more way to reach and teach. So today we're talking open enrollment periods, and in this case, it's Medicare, and specifically how it might affect federal retirees FEHB insurance. So this is running right now. I know podcasts are supposed to exist outside of space and time, but that enrollment is October 15th through December 7th of 2025. So if you're a federal retiree enrolled in Medicare, this is important timing for you. So Ed, let's start with the basics. What is the Medicare Open Enrollment period, and what can people change during this time?
Okay, Dan. Medicare Open Enrollment period, also known as the annual enrollment period, runs from October 15th to December 7th of every year, in which those individuals enrolled in original Medicare as Medicare Part A, hospital insurance, and Medicare Part B, medical insurance, have the opportunity to switch into a Medicare Advantage plan, or for that matter, if they are in a Medicare Advantage plan, they can switch back to original Medicare. We're going to talk about exactly what Medicare Advantage is. Also, during the annual enrollment period, individuals who are enrolled in Medicare Part A or Medicare or Medicare Part A and Part B, the original Medicare, can enroll or change their Medicare Part D prescription drug plan. During this period of time, those individuals who are enrolled in Medicare, original Medicare, can make these changes. And any changes that are made, change of plans, change of type of original Medicare to Medicare Advantage back to original Medicare, change of a prescription drug plan, rolling in a new Medicare prescription drug plan, take effect on January 1st, 2026.
Got it. Now, Ed, this was interesting to me. You explained that about 70% of federal retirees enroll in original Medicare when they turn 65. So for framing your article and how we're going to talk about it today, tell us how original Medicare differs from Medicare Advantage, because I know we're going to dig into that.
Yes. Original Medicare, as I mentioned, Medicare Part A, hospital insurance, and Medicare Part B, medical insurance, is government-provided health insurance. Individuals earn the right to enroll in Medicare when they turn 65, and when they're working, they're paying what's called the Medicare Hospital Insurance Tax, HIT. And the rule is that if an individual has been paying that payroll tax and it's deducted automatically from the paycheck, no matter how much they earn, how much is it? It's called the Medicare Hospital Insurance Tax, equal to 1.45% of the person's wages, matched by their employer. And if they've been paying that payroll tax for a minimum 10 years, any 10 years during their working lifetime, when they turn 65, they are eligible for Medicare Part A at no cost. At no cost. There is no premium cost for Medicare Part A, the hospital insurance. And being eligible for Medicare Part A makes them automatically eligible for the other parts of Medicare, including Medicare Part B. And if they're eligible for Medicare Part B, that makes them eligible for used to be called Medicare Part C, Medicare Choice Plans. Now they're called Medicare Advantage plans, and they're eligible for Medicare Part D, the prescription drug coverage. So that is original Medicare. Now, keep one fact in mind, one important fact, Dan, about original Medicare. Yes, it is health insurance, but it does not pay for everything in terms of an individual's medical expenses, hospital expenses, doctor bills, medical equipment. In fact, I'll give you a figure here. On average, original Medicare pays 60 to 80% of what a hospital and a doctor charges. Okay. They don't pay for everything. So therefore, what's called a Medicare beneficiary, someone who's enrolled in Medicare or enrolled in original Medicare, has to have what's called supplemental health insurance to pay for whatever Medicare does not pay, the other 20 to 40%. Now, there are different types of supplemental insurance. Most commonly, it's called Medigap insurance, in which the individual has to shop around and buy a separate insurance that pays whatever Medicare doesn't pay. And various insurance companies offer these Medigap plans. You can go to ARP. ARP is insurance and offers insurances, Medigap plans. I'm not going to mention any companies, but they're there. But there's no lack of insurance companies who like to sell these so-called Medigap plans. Now,
Gotcha.
Federal retirees are very fortunate because if they keep their federal employee health insurance in retirement, the federal employee health insurance program acts as not as a Medigap plan, but as a Medicare supplement plan. There is a difference because with Medicare supplement, an individual who retires, in this case the federal government, is just going to retain their health insurance. And when they are retired and when a federal retiree has been enrolled in original Medicare and maintains their federal employee health insurance, whatever Medicare does not pay a doctor or hospital, the FEHB plan as a Medicare supplement will pay the difference, most of the difference. And doctors who accept Medicare, hospitals who accept assignment from Medicare will be very satisfied, whatever they're getting between original Medicare and an FEHB plan.
Gotcha. So with regards to Medicare Advantage, now I know this is sticky stuff, Ed, because, and I know we'll be talking about this as we get in further, there are Medicare Advantage plans within FEHB, and there are also Medicare Advantage plans outside of FEHB. And for folks who consider those, if they do that, they might have to suspend their FEHB coverage. Is that correct?
Yes. In general, a federal retiree who has FEHB program insurance, they're retired. If they ever drop out, if they decide during an open season, I think I'm going to drop out of the FEHB insurance and try something else, they can't get back in. They cannot get back in. And as we've discussed many times, Dan, there's the 11th commandment out there. The 11th commandment says that if you are a federal retiree and you decide that you want to try something else in retirement for your insurance, something quote unquote cheaper, don't. Because if you drop out, you cannot get back in. But
so thou shalt not.
Thou shalt not. But what a federal retiree can do, there are two ways that a federal retiree can suspend their FEHB insurance. Not drop it, suspend. What does suspend mean, Dan? It means that a federal retiree wants to temporarily get out of the FEHB insurance to try another type of another type of health insurance that covers their needs while they are retired. And here are the two possibilities. If a federal retiree is also a military retiree, They retired from the uniformed services and has access to TRICARE. TRICARE is the group health insurance program covering active duty members of the uniformed services and retired members of the uniformed services. A federal retiree can suspend their FEHB insurance and get into what's called TRICARE for Life. TRICARE for Life, which is for military retirees over 65, and it's free. There's no cost for TRICARE for Life. And the other way that a federal retiree can suspend their FEHB insurance and be able to come back in if they want to is to try to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan. During when? Currently, during the annual open season. So here we have a federal retiree right now, as we speak. It's open season. It's a Medicare annual enrollment period. Open season's coming up very shortly. I think November 10th, I believe. And the federal retiree is enrolled in original Medicare. They are enrolled in original Medicare because one of the requirements to enroll in original Medicare, you have to be enrolled also to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan. You have to be enrolled in original Medicare. So a federal retiree enrolled in original Medicare has all this advertisement, all these plans out there. You hear on TV, Dan, and you hear on the radio.
Oh, yeah.
All this great stuff about Medicare Advantage plans. Oh, I think I'd like to try that. That sounds so good. So, during the annual enrollment period, right now, they decide they want to, and they do join a Medicare Advantage plan. But during the open season, they have to make sure that they suspend their FEHB insurance, and they will be allowed to. So let's say they do this and they try it starting January 1st on 26. But come next year around this time, that Medicare Advantage plan didn't promise all that it said it would. And they said, that's not for me. I'm going to get back into the federal employee health insurance. So during next year's open season, they come back to the FEHB program during the open season. Perfectly allowed. And they could do this, from year to year, the suspension.
Gotcha.
But
now,
then I got to tell you, we have to, one thing we have to discuss, we usually should talk about is what is all this hoopla about Medicare Advantage? Where did it all start?
Okay.
Why these?
We're going to jump into that hoopla. I promise. I promise we're going to jump into that hoopla. So I just want to clarify for our listeners.
Yes.
In the past, the only way you could try a Medicare Advantage plan was on the outside. Now, your article shares that FEHB program actually has its own Medicare Advantage plans in there too. Correct?
Exactly. That is correct. So, a couple years ago, maybe about I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago, OPM, who runs the FEHB program, decided let's let insurance companies offer Medicare Advantage plans within the FEHB program. As you know, there are quite a few insurance companies that are part of the FEHB program. I mean, I'll give you an example, like Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, Aetna. These companies offer Medicare Advantage plans within the FEHB program. In other words, Dan, there's no reason that a federal retiree who would like to try Medicare Advantage plans has to enroll during the annual enrollment period. They can look within the FEHB program during the upcoming open season to see what those plans have to offer. And I think we're going to talk about in a few minutes. There are reasons they should.
Gotcha.
Because we're going to be talking about what's happening in the private Medicare Advantage world.
Gotcha.
For the last couple of years.
And before we get there, I have one more question, Ed, because you discuss something really important about spouses. If a federal retiree wants to switch to Medicare Advantage, what does their spouse need to consider?
Their spouse, like I said a little while back, that in order to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan, an individual has to be enrolled in original Medicare. If a federal retiree is enrolled in original Medicare, and they have let's say self plus one coverage or self and family, covering themselves and self plus one, a spouse. They want to have one plan that covers the family, covers them and their spouse. Well, if their spouse is not Medicare eligible, they can't do it because, again, they wouldn't be enrolled in Medicare Part A and Part B. I want to add family because there are retirees who have children under the age of 26. They maybe started having a family late. The kids can't be enrolled. The children can't be enrolled in Medicare. They're much too young. So that you can't,
Right.
in other words, the retiree could not enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan.
Gotcha. Now, Ed, your article also talks about some tough realities in the Medicare Advantage marketplace. So what happened during the last enrollment period of 2024, and what should retirees expect for 2026?
During the last annual enrollment period, that was last year, that was 2024, okay? Federal retirees and other Medicare beneficiaries picking private Medicare Advantage plans, they face some tough choices. They really faced some tough choices. Among the challenges back a year ago during the 2024 annual period was that a number of the Medicare Advantage plans that were available in the previous year dropped significantly. Let's please understand there that, again, Medicare Advantage, what are these Medicare Advantage plans? Who's running it? It's private insurance companies paid by the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. The federal government is paying insurance companies to offer these Medicare Advantage plans. And they're trying to attract customers, in terms of extras. Now, what are some of the extras? Well, in addition to offering health insurance, they offer vision insurance, dental insurance, all under sort of an HMO setting. What do I mean by that? The Medicare Advantage plan you have is geared on the fact that you have to stay in network. If you go out of network, your out-of-pocket costs are going to be more. And some of these plans promise zero premium. You don't have to pay any premiums. But that assumes that you're going to see doctors and hospitals and clinics that are within the network. There has been so much, these insurance companies over the last couple of years have found that it's not profitable. They're not making money. Hospitals have dropped out of the network. There are fewer and fewer hospital networks. There were reports that, mental health has gotten to be coverage for mental health has gotten to be a very popular request now among senior citizens. And some of these Medicare Advantage plans, it's listed doctors, psychologists who were in network, who were listed under their plan in network, when in fact they weren't. They call, are you in this network? No, they call them, no, I'm not. And people found that out the hard way. And, beneficiaries found out. It was not very pleasant. So I guess the point is that this year is going to be even more of a challenge during the annual enrollment period to find plans. It's going to be a challenge. And federal retirees who are enrolled in original Medicare, be very careful. If you're going to try it, you're going to try it on Medicare Advantage plans. And just one other thing I want to mention, talking about premiums. When you are a federal retiree like myself, no matter which type of FEHB plan you are enrolled in, and that includes if you enroll in the Medicare Advantage plans, the federal government pays 72 to 75% of your premiums. And we, that is retirees like myself, we pay the other 25 to 28%. Like I say all the time, Dan, this is a blessing from heaven. If a federal retiree enrolls in a private Medicare Advantage plan, a private Medicare Advantage plan, government pays nothing. You're on your own. But most importantly, it's your responsibility to find the right plan for yourself. There are plans out there, are Medicare Advantage plans in there, but not every plan is good for everybody. You on your own. If you stay within the Federal Employee Health Insurance Program, you have guidance, you have brochures, you do have some guidance in terms of choosing the right type of Medicare Advantage plans.
Got it. So it sounds like Medicare Advantage plans might not be all that attractive. But Ed, you also mentioned Medicare Part D like dog prescription drug coverage. What's happening there with the catastrophic drug spending limits?
Yes, back in 2022, the Inflation Reduction Act, several provisions came out of that. But one of the provisions that came out of the Inflation Reduction Act is that for under Medicare Part D, the reason Medicare Part D was created back in 2006 was to cover the catastrophic the cost of prescription drugs, the catastrophic cost. What is catastrophic? If you're paying more than $8,000 a year in prescription drugs, boy, I hope that doesn't happen to anybody. But that's a lot of money. Medicare at that time, until then, had never covered prescription drugs. So Congress decided in 2006, let's create another part to Medicare called Medicare Part D that will cover the catastrophic cost of prescription drugs. Like I said, $8,000 or more. Well, the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 lowered that $8,000 down to $2,000. Given the cost of prescription drugs, that $2,000 is really not that bad. Not that bad. So there are individuals who incur, including federal retirees, high prescription drug expenses to the extent they may be paying more than $2,000 a year. So this Medicare Part D may be attractive. So does that mean a federal retiree who's enrolled in original Medicare or just Medicare Part A has to enroll in a separate Medicare Part D prescription drug plan during the annual enrollment period? And the answer is no, because many of the federal FEHB plans offer what's called prescription drug plans, PDPs, prescription drug plans, that are tied to Medicare Part D. Now, a federal retiree like myself, and like I said, we're enrolled, do not have to take the prescription drug plan because the plan itself, your own prescription drug plan, I'm in GHA, Government Employees Hospital Association, they have their own prescription drug coverage. And my wife and I are sufficiently covered with GEHA standard prescription drug plan. We don't need the PDP, so we opt out of it. And a federal retiree who has to formally, if they get offered this PDP, they really have to. If they don't need it, they have to formally opt out of it. We'll talk more about that later. So the prescription drug plans normally, in the past, until this Inflation Reduction Act, really, it wasn't necessary for someone who really didn't incur prescription drug expense, a lot of catastrophic prescription drug expenses, was not really necessary to sign up for Part D. But now it is a little more, these plans are, but Medicare Part D plans are more attractive. Just a word of caution, though. Each Part D plan has its own formulary. What is the formulary? A list of prescription drugs that the plan will cover. If one is thinking about enrolling in a Medicare Part D plan, or their FEHB plan has a PDP, a prescription drug plan associated with it, you need to check the plan to make sure that if your particular prescription drugs you're taking, or in the case of you have coverage with a spouse, your spouse's prescription are part of the formula. If your prescription drugs you're on and your spouse is on are not part of the formula, it's a waste of money.
Gotcha.
You have to look at the formulary.
Gotcha. So now let's pivot back to the private Medicare Advantage plans. Your article raised some concerns about how agents and brokers might be compensated on this. So why should federal retirees be aware of that?
This is very important, Dan. That, like I said a few moments ago, that the federal government, the Center for Medicare Services, CMS, pays private insurance companies to offer Medicare Advantage plans. And unfortunately, the insurance companies offering these plans are also impose what I call some hidden charges that will affect the cost and quality of the plan. And these companies are cutting back commissions that they pay brokers and agents to sell these plans. Generally, that's commission paid to those agents and brokers who sell what's called less profitable plans. A private insurance company already having a plan, and they find out that this plan is less profitable. They're going to pay that broker or the agent, this other thing, less commission or maybe no commission at all. But here's the thing. If someone is, if a prospective purchaser of this MA plan says, gee, that plan offers something that might be good for me, the broker may say, nah, it's probably not that good, because the broker saying it's not, and deep down thinking this plan is not going to pay anything. Why should I sell it? Now, it's hard to believe that would happen to him, but unfortunately it does. In other words, the agent and broker is not looking out for the best interest of, well, we say the client, right?
Right. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. So, let's say somebody's read this article and watched this and somehow is still considering a private Medicare Advantage plan. What's your advice for how they should approach that decision?
Very carefully. Very carefully. If they find a plan that they seems to be good to them. They're doing it. They're doing this on their own. I would make the following recommendation: that if this federal retiree enrolled in original Medicare has favorite doctors, has favorite dentists, has favorite ophthalmologists, optometrists that they go to, they should check to see if their doctors, dentists, ophthalmologists are in the network. Because if they're not a network, guess what? They're wasting their money, in my opinion. Remember, this Medicare Advantage is basically geared for using doctors, dentists, any Medicare Advantage plans. Either it's an HMO or a PPO. If you don't go to the preferred doctors, you will be paying more out of pocket. In terms of out-of-pocket costs, you may pay zero premium, but you're going to be paying out-of-pocket more, co-payments and deductibles and things like that. So,
gotcha.
You have to do your homework. You have to do your homework.
Gotcha. And Ed, in your article, you mentioned some specific resources that federal retirees can use to research their Medicare options.
Yes, and the place to go to is the first place to go to is the Medicare. Go to the Medicare website, www.medicare.gov, and put in the keywords Medicare Plan Finder. Medicare Plan Finder, not only for a Medicare Advantage plans, but even for a Medicare Part D prescription drug plan. It's a very useful tool. Also, if worse comes to worse, they can call Medicare. Of course, I don't know what's happening now with the government shutdown, and how much is available in terms of getting a live body to talk to you. But again, the Medicare Plan Finder should be very good. Maybe even check with an independent insurance broker, who sells health insurance plans, including Medicare plans, who can give you an independent assessment of a particular Medicare plan. They're not selling the plan. You just maybe pay a few dollars just for some advice.
Gotcha. So, and finally, to kind of put a bow on this. So let's say our federal retiree does all their due diligence and deduce that a private Medicare Advantage plan is their best choice. What do they need to remember to do with their FEHB coverage?
Just a reminder that if you, during the current annual enrollment period, let me repeat, the annual enrollment period, a federal retiree who is currently enrolled in the FEHB program and enrolled in original Medicare decides they want to try a private Medicare Advantage plan, so they enroll during this current annual open season, which started October 15th, it's going to last until December 7th, that they must, during the the OPM open season, which starts November 10th, ending December 8th, has to suspend their FEHB insurance, formally suspend their FEHB insurance. If you're retired, you can do that. You can do that through your OPM account. You can do that under the folks at OPM in the retirement office that have a means for you just to fill out the proper form, or download the form, fill it out, and send it back to suspend. The key word here is suspend, not drop, suspend. Don't put down, I'm dropping it. Okay.
Gotcha.
They want to suspend their FEHB. They must do that during the open season. And so their FEHB plan, will cease as of January 1st, 2026, and their Medicare FEHB plans take effect on January 1st, 2026.
Gotcha. Now, folks, as usual, Ed has some great details on this topic in that FedZone article. So head over to FedZone, that's fed-zone.com, to read the whole thing. Or as I like to say, Ed's taken all your notes for you by publishing that article. So it's good to go ahead and review that. So, Ed, and some federal retirees need to think carefully before suspending FEHB coverage to go to Medicare Advantage, especially given the changes that are happening in the Medicare Advantage marketplace. And if they do plan on trying to make that switch, they need to do their homework and use the right tools. Ed, once again, I have to thank you on behalf of all our feds. No one is putting this information out there in this kind of detail. So thank you on behalf of all their feds for how you're helping to make important decisions. I don't know how you keep it all straight, but I'm glad you do.
Well, I just want to mention the name of that FedZone column. It's entitled Medicare Open Enrollment Season, How Are Federal Employees with FEHB Insurance Affected? Repeat. Medicare Open Enrollment Season, How Are Federal Retirees with FEHB Insurance Affected? Also, we'll make a pitch for our monthly webinar in which we talk a lot about this topic. We have a monthly webinar every month. It's entitled FEHB, Medicare, and TRICARE, how they all coordinate, in which we talk about the Medicare Advantage plans, who's eligible, what they're all about, and the Medicare Part D plans. So you can hear it every month, as many times as you want. We do it every month, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. Very popular.
Absolutely.
Very popular.
Absolutely. Okay, folks, that's a wrap. We are serving those who serve. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Hit that subscribe button on this YouTube channel, or if you're listening on Spotify, please remember to share it with your friends and even a few strangers. Check us out on Facebook. Don't forget our live webinars every single week. Ed just talked about them. Go to the SWS website. That's stwserve.com. You'll see the webinar button. Click it. It opens up the whole menu. Yes, the guru will come to you, reach you where you are, teach you where you are, and above all, serve you where you are. Sign up for one, sign up for all, and share it with your friends. They will thank you. Be sure to read Ed every month in the FedZone. That's fed-zone.com. It's always great stuff in there. We don't have the ability to record every single one of them, so we generally knock out 2, and there's 2 more that are dynamite. You don't want to miss them. So signing off for Ed, the crew at Serving the Serve, and me, Dan Sipe, I'm going to say what I always say. Good luck, Godspeed, and above all, remember, it's your FedLife. Please make it a great one because you deserve it. Stay well, everybody. We are out.